and welcome to Schoology Advanced Course Design. In this course, you are going to learn how to make your course more visual and more user-friendly for your students and parents to access. So to start, I just want to give you a little overview of my course and kind of how it's set up. So I set up this training course very similar to how I set up my global history course for my 10th graders. So over on the left side here, I have my course image, which ends up being a longer banner. And so I'll show you how to make that. Then at the top here, we have pinned an announcement to make kind of a course navigation banner, and everything is hyperlinked. So this will be the last thing that I show you how to do, because before you can make this, you need to have everything built within your course. Within my course, I also have various hyperlinked pages. I have visual images for folders for students to easily be able to find and recognize the folders that they're looking for. And then again, we can also hyperlink some of our materials within those folders as well. So the first thing I want to show you how to do is how to create this different banner. So a lot of teachers just kind of go with the standard stock photos that Schoology has to offer. But what you really want to do is put an image in that students are going to recognize when they see either their course dashboard or their course dropdown. And then you also just want to make it more appealing to the eye once they're in the course and kind of keep them interested. So I created this banner in Google Drawings. So if you were to go to Google Drawings and create it, the first thing that you would want to do is change the page setup and change the size. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go to Page Setup, and I'm going to drop it down. I think it was on the standard when I first opened up my blank Google Drawing, and I changed it to Custom. And this right here is 3x7. You could also make it longer. You could go 3x8, 3x9, and it would go along the left side of your course. And then you would hit apply. And from there, I just built my course banner through a series of Bitmojis. I've got my badges, and then a text box that I then filled in with a gray background. I've had some questions about how I get my Bitmojis from my phone to some of the images that I work with. And it's really very simple. So you have the Bitmoji app on your phone, whether it's an iPhone or an Android. And if I found a Bitmoji that I want to put into my course or to a Twitter update or anything else, what I do is if I am on my Mac, I just airdrop it to the Mac. If I'm not, though, and I'm, say, working on my Chromebook, all I'm going to do is I have the Google Drive app downloaded to my phone, and I just save that Bitmoji to my Google Drive. And then when I want to put the image into a document, I just simply go Insert Image from my Drive, and my most recent image uploads are going to show up. So if I wanted to add one of these Bitmojis that I had added recently, I would just select it and put it in. Once you have created your banner and you get it looking the way you would like it, you're going to download it as a JPEG. So you'll go to File, Download, JPEG image. You can also download it as a PNG file. It's going to save to your device. You'll go back to your course. You'll hit Edit Picture. You'll attach the file. You can edit the thumbnail, that this would be what shows up on the course dashboard. So it's easily recognized by your students. Hit crop. And my changes have been saved. The next thing that I want to show you how to do is how to make your folders more visual. So when you add a folder, the default is that it just has, you can choose the color and you can choose what the folder is titled. What I found is that students really respond more to being able to see an image that they can associate with that folder as well. So anytime that I have folders that I would like students to be working in, I try to include an image there. So the way that I would do this is when I go to create the folder, if I were to say add materials, and then I would add the folder. You can select the folder color. And as you've probably seen, you can add any sort of text to the description that will show up under the folder. However, you can also insert images. And those images are going to be hyperlinked to the folder as well. So the student can click on either the image or the text to get inside of the folder contents. So you'll click on Upload Image, and then you will attach any sort of image, whether you've created it in Google Drawings and saved it as a JPEG, or you have it just saved from your computer from Google Images. So you'll click the image that you want to attach to that folder, and you'll just click Open. And sometimes, depending on the size of the image, it may show up really large like this one. In that case, you're just going to scale it down. Now, when I create my folder, you can see I have the image and the text. So if students were to click on the image, it would bring them inside the folder. Likewise, if they were to just click on the text, it would also bring them inside the folder. Now, another thing that I do for my students that really helps is that I hyperlink all of the materials that we'll be using in class or that they need for their homework right into the weekly agenda. And again, I will go over how to get this banner right here. But for now, I just want to quickly show you how to create those pages with the materials hyperlinked right inside of it. So if I were to click on my weekly agenda, it's going to take me right inside this folder right here. The first thing I did with this folder, though, is I put the current week in that description. So if I were to edit this week, you could see that the description is right there. And I just grabbed that from the page that I created inside of the folder. So if we were to click inside of the agenda folder, you're going to see a series of pages. The one on the top is always going to be the most current week. And I've seen this with a lot of teachers' courses where students have to scroll all the way to the bottom. And I would argue that you really want to make sure you have your most relevant and recent materials at the top of the page. The less a student has to scroll to find the materials, the easier it's going to be for them to navigate your course and figure out what's due when and what they're supposed to be working on. So what I've done here is I've just created a page, and I've created it as an inline page. And so what this means is that when I go to add the materials and I add the page, whatever I type here, when I go down and I select this icon right here to display it in line, everything that I put in this page is going to show up immediately when the student looks at it. They won't have to click an extra step to get to that agenda. So when you go and you look at this page, I have created it as an inline page, meaning that when I hit save, it's going to show up right here, as opposed to some of these other pages like this that are just going to display on a new page. The student would have to actually click on the page to see what it says. Now, for this week, I have set up each day what class my students are in, because my sections are linked. If you don't link your sections, then you don't have to worry about labeling the classes. But remember, whatever you post on this one page, all of your students are going to see if your sections are linked. So I have my agenda for what we're going to do each day. And then within the agenda, everything that we do is going to be hyperlinked. So if I wanted the students to open up the notes on the Cold War, if this was Friday the 14th or Monday the 24th, appears we had vacation in there. All that I would need to do in order to grab this hyperlink is I am going to highlight the text. If it is say it's a document in my drive, I can find the document. I'm going to open up the slide presentation. I'll click on share to get the shareable link. Anyone at Ballston Spa with the link can view. I'm going to copy the link. My text is highlighted here where I want it to hyperlink. So then I'll click the link. I'll paste the link in. And another fun tip, if I go down to where it said edit and I take that out and I write copy, when the students open that document, it's going to force them to make a copy of it. Similarly, if I had things that were linked within the course, so say we have this Cold War events check-in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually open up my course again in a new tab. I'm going to find the assignment that I want them to work on. Click on my Cold War events check-in. I'm going to grab the hyperlink, or the URL, I'm sorry, from the top. I'm going to copy it, go back to my agenda, highlight the text. And I've already got it linked, but I'm just showing you how to do it. And then I'm going to paste the link in. So now when the students go to the agenda for the day, I don't have to tell them, go to the Cold War folder, go click in this folder, go find this assignment. Everything is linked right where they need it. There's no searching for what they have to find. Now, another thing that you can use Pages for is to actually build your activities directly in Schoology. So if I were to have an activity that showed my students how to sketchnote, and you can do this with any type of activity, whether it's a reading activity, math, walking them through something so that you don't necessarily have to have everything in different places. I highly, highly, highly recommend using Pages for building these things, especially with those younger students that really need everything kind of visual. So you can include multiple media within one page. So the way that I did this is, again, I just built it as a page, and I had my information here, and then I inserted images. And the way that I did that is I just went to insert content, and then I had the images saved to my computer. And I'll attach the file. And let's say I want to insert another image in there. We'll grab this one. Oops, made it really big, so I'm going to have to resize it. Okay, and again, you're going to have to play around with things to get them looking exactly how you want. I just accidentally deleted one of my pictures. So if I wanted 4 in a row, I might build this as a table and put the images inside of the table. I'll grab these, I'll copy them, or I'll cut them rather, and paste them into my table. And this will ensure that they all stay on the same line, because what the table will do is it will adjust for how big the pictures are. Whereas if I just had them in a row, it might go on to the next line. I can insert videos. So I will insert content, image or media, attach a file. Let's find a video here. This documentary on Augusto Pinochet looks great. The longer the video is, the longer it's going to take to upload. So now I have 2 videos here. I could make the video player box bigger by just dragging it. And then what I've done here on the bottom is I have linked my students to the next piece of the activity. These 2 pages were built right in Schoology. So again, I open up a new tab. I'm going to find where in the course these links are. I'll grab the URL and I'll copy and paste. So students don't have to necessarily go outside of this page to get to the next piece of it. We hit save, and now we have multimedia in our page. So there are actually a couple of options that you have for providing materials for your students. I showed you the first way, which was to link it in your agenda, but I also make sure that I include these materials within my topic folders as well, just in case students go looking for them and they're not looking in the current agenda folder. They could easily go inside of my materials folder and they could find it right here. So I showed you how to link it, which was right here. If I were to click on this link, the Cold War, it'll force them to make a copy of it, and then you would want them to save it to their drive. The other way that you can do it, or there's actually 2 ways that you can do it, is you can import the document from your resources, which if you're here, I hope you know how to do, but I'm going to show you a fun little tip to make the icon show up for what type of document it actually is. Or you can embed the Google slide presentation right into your pages. So if I were to click on this link right here, the Cold War in the 1960s, it's going to take me to a page where I actually have the slide deck already embedded right in Schoology. So if you want to keep students in Schoology and not have them navigating between different tabs, that is another option. So I will show you how to do that first. So let me go out to my sample folder, which is empty right now. So what I want to do is I want to embed this Collapse of Communism 2020 slide deck. And the way I'm going to do this is I am going to, once I'm ready, I'm going to click File, and I am going to go down to Publish to the Web, because what I need to do is I need to get the embed code. So I'm going to go over to Embed. I am going to ensure that it is set for my school district. I don't necessarily want to publish it to everyone. So I would publish it to the Ballston Spa Central School District so that, if they weren't already signed in, they would have to sign in order to access it. And then I'm going to click on Start Publishing. It's going to ask me, are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I do. And then it's going to give me the embed code. All I'm going to do, it's already highlighted, so I am going to copy it. I'm on a Mac, so I'm hitting Command-C. If you're on a Chromebook or a PC, you're going to hit Control-C. I am going to go back to Schoology. I am going to go to Add a Page. And right here, I need to toggle to HTML. And I am just going to paste my code right in there. And then I will title it Collapse of Communism Notes. I can make it an inline page, or I can make it so that they have to click on the page in order for it to come up. Right now, I will just make it a new page. We'll hit Create. And then when I click on these notes, you can see that it's embedded itself right there. And the students can then go through it. Now, the other way that I can get this slide deck into my course is through adding it through my resources or copying and pasting the link. Now I want to show you when you import it from your resources, there's a way to get it so that a little icon comes up that shows you that this is a Google Slide presentation. It'll have that little yellow Google Slides icon. And it's a little known fact about how to get it there. I'm in my Google Drive resource app. I find my document. I'm going to import the link. And then as you'll see, it just says Collapse of Communism 2020.pptx. Well, it's not actually a PowerPoint presentation. It's a Google Slide presentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the gear, and then I'm going to click Edit. And if I go to where it says .pptx and I delete that, and then I hit Save, now it has the little yellow Google Slides icon so that students know which one is a slide presentation, which one is a doc, which one might be a sheet. And then you would do the same thing for a Google Doc. So if you wanted to publish a Google Doc, you would go through the same steps: file, publish to the web, grab the embed code. Now let's say that this is bigger than you'd like it, and you're not really familiar with changing the embed code. If you switch back to visual and you just highlight the box, you can drag it and make it smaller. So as you're building your pages, if you had another slideshow that you wanted to put underneath it, or say you had a Google Doc that you wanted to put underneath it, I'll take this one for an example. I will publish this one to the web. I'm going to embed it. I'm going to click Start Publishing. Yes, I want to publish. I'm going to grab my embed code. I'm going to go back to my HTML. And I want to make sure that this is the right size. It's going to show up a little small, so let's make it bigger. And then I hit Save Changes. Now when I go into these notes, I have my slide deck and I have this Google Doc. Now, another thing that you're going to want to do to really help your students is to ensure that your assignments and anything that they should be working on shows up in their upcoming calendar. If you don't associate a due date with an assignment, then this will not show up for them. And a lot of students have come to rely on the upcoming. So just as a good practice, in order to make sure that your assignments or events show up in the upcoming, you want to make sure you assign a due date to it. Even if that due date is super far in the future, put a date on it so that when you go, when the students go and the parents go to look at what's upcoming, that shows up for them. So if we were to take this Cold War events check-in here, when we go to edit it, we want to make sure that we have a due date attached to it. If we don't attach a due date and we just leave this blank like that, then it's not going to show up in the upcoming. So we want to make sure that we always attach some sort of date to it, just so that they know that when they go into it and they look at the course, they're going to see a due date. So because I have set a due date, it now shows up over here. If you have an event that you just want to remind them of, try to get in the habit of using the calendar. So you can just add an event to the calendar. We'll say next Tuesday at 4 p.m. we're going to have our end of the year party. The description, you can request that they RSVP, or you can disable it. If you don't want them commenting on it, you can disable the comments and then just hit Save Changes. So now my end of the year party also shows up in their calendar. So if they were to click on their calendar view and they have your course showing, they have to filter it. Then they're going to be able to see this events check-in is due on Monday, and then we're going to have our end of the year party the next day. Now, the last piece of this is how do I get all of my materials to show up in this fancy course banner where everything is hyperlinked for them to easily access? And it's a little bit tricky, but I'm going to walk you through it. So the way that this needs to be built is it needs to first be built inside of a page. And I have in most of my courses just a folder called miscellaneous materials. And I keep it unpublished because I don't necessarily want everyone to see this kind of mishmash of stuff that I have published or that I have unpublished. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my header in a page. So I'll show you the current one. So this is what it looks like when I then go to publish it. And then I will show you how I built it. So I am going to add a page. I'll call it header 2. And the first image that I had in here was of my course image saying, Welcome to Global History 10. And I built that just in Google Drawings. You can do it in Google Drawings. You can do it in Google Slides, anywhere you want, but you have to then save it as a JPEG or a PNG file. It has to be an image file for you to work with it. So I am going to insert that image. My header. Up. It's a little bit big. So I'm going to make it smaller. And then below this, what I had to do was I had to create a table in order to fit those 5 things neatly across and be able to hyperlink them. So I create my table. It's 5 across, 1 down. And it shows up really small when you initially insert them. And then from there, I typed in the headings that I wanted. I also wanted there to be an image attached. So I believe I just got my images from Google Images. So you can copy and paste your images directly from Google Images, and you'll see they paste really large. So you'll have to resize them, most likely. Or you can save them to your computer and insert them that way. So I have all of my images in, and then I might want to play around a little bit with the formatting. Maybe I want to bold the text, center it. I can change the color of the text. Tables are a little funky, so you might have to play around a little bit to get it looking the way you want it. So I get it looking the way I want it. And then what I need to do is I need to grab all of the hyperlinks. And I want to hyperlink both the agenda picture and the text so that the student can click in either place. It makes it much easier for them when they're going through if they see that it is clickable. So again, I'm just going to go to my course. I'm going to grab the hyperlink. So you'll have to open a new tab, make sure your course is open. You'll grab the hyperlink. You'll highlight the text. You'll paste the link. Highlight the image. Paste the link. Now both of these are hyperlinked. I'm then going to do the same thing for my course notes. And I probably could have made that course notes folder a little bit more visual. But this is where the students would find all of the notes for their homework assignments. I'm going to find our current topic. And I should note, when I finish a topic, I then archive it into this completed topics folder. And I've just hyperlinked in my description of the folder all of the topics that are inside of it. So if a student is looking for materials from an old topic and they know it was in, say, imperialism, they could just click right here and it's going to bring them into the imperialism folder. But I don't really see a need for keeping all of these folders, especially with all of their images, up on the main page if the students don't need them. So really try to declutter your pages by putting things that you're done with into, say, an archived or completed folder. But for this, I need to grab my current topic, which would have been the Cold War. I'm going to hyperlink the text. Oops. And the image. I'm going to grab my screencast folder. Now again, I created this image just with my Bitmoji, and I created the background in Google Drawings. If you had a specific folder that you wanted to link them to, say you're in, topic 8, you would just click inside that topic 8 folder and grab this hyperlink instead of this URL right here. But this will give them all of the videos for the whole year. And then to check their grades is a little bit tricky. In your sandbox course, you're not necessarily going to have any students. In your regular courses, you will. But what you'll want to do when you're building your sandbox is we have a number of test students that we can use. So just add a test student, go to add members, and go to the high school and add a test student to your course, because you need to have a student in order to grab that student grade hyperlink. When you have students in your course, you can do it with any of those students and it'll bring them to their grades. So I have students in my course now. Then I'm going to go back to the main page. I'm going to go to course options and I'm going to go to view course as. I'm going to view it as any one of my students. And then from here, you'll see that the sidebar looks different because I'm in the student view. So I'm going to click on grades. And then I'm going to grab this URL instead of going to my gradebook URL. And I'll show you the difference in a second. So I'll link my grades, or the student grades, I should say. If I were to go to my gradebook, it's not going to give the student grade view. It's going to give the teacher grade view. And for the students, that would just show up as that private access only error page. So that's why you want to make sure you're going to go to course options, view the course as a student, then go to grades, grab this URL and paste that to bring them to their gradebook. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this border. I don't want this table to actually show up. I just want it to be these images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the whole table and it's going to bring up these table options. And I am just going to uncheck the border. And then you may want to play around with things a little bit more. They might have formatted a little bit weird. Things might have gone left that you wanted center. Again, these tables are not perfect, but you can make it work. Then I'm going to hit create. So now I'm going to go into my header and I want to copy and paste the material that I have here into an update. So I'm going to highlight it. I am going to copy it. I'm going to go to updates. I'm going to paste it. And you can see now I have my header in as an update. If I were to just click post, it's just going to post to the updates portion. What I need to do is I need to click on this little speech bubble here, and I need to check the bell. And what that does is it makes it an announcement, and it pins it to the top of your page. So that way, when I click on post, when I go to materials, you can see it says that this is an announcement, but everything here is linked the way that it's supposed to be. So students can go and check their grades. They can go and click on this folder, and it will take them to the folders of video lessons. They could get to their current topic. They can get to their course notes, and they can get to their weekly agenda.